Bertie was a tabby cat with a loud purr who was proud of his long whiskers and fluffy tail. He lived in a grand house called the Deanery with his friend the Dean. Opposite the Deanery was Chichester Cathedral, a large and very old church. Every morning Bertie followed the Dean up the path to the cathedral on his way to work through the cloisters, a stone-arched walkway which surrounds the cathedral. "Bye-bye, Bertie. Go home now. I can't have you coming into the cathedral and disturbing morning prayer," the Dean would say as he walked through the cloisters to a tall wooden door leading into the cathedral. This always made Bertie feel a little upset. After all, dogs were allowed into the cathedral, so why not cats? He would walk slowly home, whisking his tail from side to side, wondering what it's like inside the cathedral. One afternoon, Bertie felt bored. He'd spent the morning doing what he liked most, standing outside the deanery, being stroked by people walking past. But now it was raining and everyone had gone home. He sat looking across at the cathedral. He saw its long grey roof and its tall tower and spire. The cathedral looked beautiful, even with the rain pouring down. The next moment, he found himself walking up the path to the cloisters. The cloisters were empty. There was no one to be seen. He walked towards the tall wooden door, his whiskers twitching nervously. At any moment he expected to hear the words, "Hey, Bertie, what are you doing here?" But he didn't hear anyone. He was all by himself. To his amazement, he found that the wooden door was slightly open, just enough to allow him to slip through. Bertie stood for a moment, his green eyes peering into the shadows. Then, with a graceful jump, he disappeared inside. Bertie looked all around, his nose twitching, as he smelt the sweet scent of incense. Looking upwards towards the curved arches and the graceful stone pillars, the light of candles flickered around him. In the distance, from somewhere high up in the building, he heard the most beautiful sound of voices, singing music that he'd never heard before. Everywhere seemed so different from the world he knew. It seemed very safe and peaceful. This is a holy place. This is a place of calm where there is no fear. This is a safe place where everyone is welcoming. Bertie set out to explore more of the cathedral. There were many things to see. He walked gently up the aisle, which was full of colourful paintings and shimmering stained glass windows. He made his way up to the other end of the cathedral. There were rows of wooden seats where the choir sing during services, and the organ with its decorated golden pipes. Finally, he found a large altar with a tapestry full of shapes and colours hanging behind it. It was clear that the cathedral was a very special place. After all his exploring, Bertie was tired. In just a few moments he was fast asleep, and as he slept, things began to change around the cathedral. First, the vergers who look after the cathedral appeared moving chairs, laying out orders of service and lighting candles. Then the stewards arrived, ready to welcome people and direct them to their seats. And finally the doors were opened, and many people walked into the cathedral full of anticipation. A service was about to begin, and not an ordinary service. This was the cathedral carol service. The sound of hushed voices and the tapping of footsteps woke Bertie up. For a moment he wasn't sure where he was, but suddenly he remembered. He jumped up and started running towards the big wooden door he'd walked through earlier. Luckily it was open, and he slipped back into the cloisters. As he followed the shadows of the cloisters, he found that he wasn't alone. Bertie saw two figures sitting inside one of the stone arches. a mother and a little girl. And as he passed them, the girl reached out her hand to stroke him. "He's just like our own cat," she said quietly, "the one we had to leave behind." As she spoke, she began to cry. Bertie purred to comfort the girl, echoing through the cloisters. The girl stroked Bertie, and as she began to smile, the Dean walked by, preparing for the carol service. "Why, Bertie, I'm so pleased to find you here. We've been looking for you all afternoon. Who are these two friends that you've made? We can't have them sitting out here in the cold. They must come and join our carol service." "We would like to," said the mother, struggling to find the right words. "But we are not from Chichester. We have never been in your church." "You are very welcome to come inside," said the Dean, smiling at them and leading them to the door. "Christmas is about God's love for all people, even if you are far from your own homes. And this cathedral welcomes everyone, including, it would appear, cats."
This Advent and Christmas we're placing a spotlight on the work of Sanctuary in Chichester, who supports refugees and asylum seekers arriving in our area in great need.